y'all be doing back there?
Good to go, excellent. Go ahead and get started with questions for Coach.
Curious, Coach, if the set pieces were drawn up or if they were just kind of organic.
Of course they were drawn up. Yeah.
By you, I assume?
No, us as a staff, but we have staff members did it. Liam's on fire right now. He had the kickoff and got the set pieces. And he's doing a good job.
So can you give kind of the basis of the idea behind the set piece?
Nope. No, it's the score. Like we always look at different ways opponents defend it and what we can do to get a chance. So, yeah, sorry to make that joke on you.
That's fine.
We always trying to score. So in some different way, whether it's a short corner, whether it's a near post, far post, middle of the goal, each team will leave something different open. So, it doesn't always go to plan, but ultimately at the end of the day, like the delivery is really important. So the 2 deliveries I thought were really good, and that is the big part of it.
And were those the first 2 times you
I can hear you.
Was that the first 2 times you tried that particular one in this match?
In this match, what do you mean? Like you're saying that? Oh, from previous. Did we try that previously?
Or from just the first half?
Yeah, no, we tried. I would say we tried it in the first half as well. It just then the second half it came off.
Okay.
Rob, the team still suffered a little bit, like just not having possession, which is the same as the past few games, but tonight you create 6 big chances, I think, registered. What was the difference there with the team tonight?
Yeah, I think we still created in some of the other games. I don't know about big chances or what the stat might say on some of that stuff, because you look at the Montreal game, even down a guy, we created some chances to playing more defense-minded, if you will, or whatever. But we knew coming into a game like this against Columbus that they would be really good on the ball, and so we thought that also there would be space in transition. So the big point of emphasis was being disciplined. I think when players we played these guys so many times, so they've been in it a lot, and they probably. I think I touched on it before in the media stuff before, was that saying we were going to give them a respect, we're not going to fear them, and I think they have that mutual respect. Like, hey, these guys are going to be on the ball, and we have to defend and be disciplined in that. And then when the moment comes and we can regain it, we need to try to punish them. So the collective work rate together was really good, but it has to be like that every game. So that is the challenge for them. They've shown me that they can do it now. So now I'm going to demand that every game.
Speaking of the work rate, Saba just doesn't seem like he stops running. And I'm curious if you've seen something different, a different version of him since he came back from the Euros, and just generally if you could just speak about what he's been adding to the team here lately.
Yeah, I don't think he's pretty consistent. I don't see anything different in terms of what he was doing before from the Euros. I think he's just excited to be back. When he came back right away. He had the chance to go and celebrate with his country going to the Euros for the first time, and he was like, no, I'll be back. I'll be ready to play in that first game that he could be available for. So I think he's got a different energy to him. Like, he's going to be a father soon at some point. So maybe that's giving him some extra energy while he can get some sleep. But yeah, that position on the field, and all of them do, but that position in particular requires a lot of work up and down, and he does the work for the team.
Use the mic duck, please.
It didn't work.
Steve, I think it's working right.
You spoke on Friday about kind of emotional stability during the game. I was curious if that was part of the messaging after y'all's 2 goals, because the team has had an unfortunate history of giving up goals in the few minutes after it scores.
Yeah, it was really touched on at halftime. I love to talk about their mentality, where they're at as people, and their perspective in that sense. I do touch on that a lot, but we touched on it at halftime because they were losing the game, and I thought they played really well. Like, call me crazy, but it was defensively really solid. They gave 1 chance away and they scored, which that sucks. It's not what we wanted. But at the same time, I let them speak, and we touched on that. Like, hey, that sucks, not great, but we're down a goal. What are we going to do? So what's the rebound going to be like? And once they're on the field in the second half, there's only so much we really can get across, and we try to get messages across. And yeah, we try to talk about mentality or being alert, and you're losing hand signals and you look like an idiot on the sideline trying all those things, but they dug in. I think they could feel the moment, and so they dug in and they did the work to get a result. And it's the first time, if I'm right,
Yep.
it's the first time we've come back from a loss or from a down a goal and won a game. So that's a real positive. You guys missed that stat, huh? I'm just joking. Well, now you can tweet it later.
Bartek has been in a more advanced position, it seems like, over the last few games. How has his role shifted?
Yeah, I've asked him to be in this 8 position, it's like hybrid 8 position, 8/10 almost. And don't tell him it's a 10 because he was he was talking about that the other day. I think it suits him really well. He's a pretty versatile player. We ask all our players to play in positions that we feel like it highlights their strengths. This is one where it might not be the one that you think that he really, like, it's not a, he gets so advanced and you're thinking, is he really an advanced player? Because he works really hard, he can tackle, he can do those things, but he actually does a really good job of running in behind. He can deliver a ball on like an inverted cross, so I think it's been really a good position for him. I mean, he's a tireless worker, and I'm pleased for him because I feel like he's been really good the last 2 games. Even the last game, I thought he was brilliant, and it's unfortunate that the one giveaway he had led to a goal because he was so good. So I didn't think he sulked about that, and he pushed forward because he was really good tonight.
Was it a directive to play over the top of the Cruz press, or was that just how it presented itself?
Yeah. I thought that there's a moment in the game, or there's moments in the game where, I mean, you look at the game when they played against Charlotte, it was one ball over the top that ended up being the goal that they equalized on. So it's definitely something that we touched on. I wish we could have done maybe even better with some of it, but it was something that we talked about.
This week you've gone back to using some just natural wingers with Saba and Jonde as opposed to the kind of what was happening in that back five. Is using the wingers a product of changing out of that back five, or was it a conscious decision to get those wingers back kind of in their natural positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, like, you change the shape so it changes their position. It was hand in hand. Like, some of it is I felt like they were in a natural position, if you will. Like, when we played a 5 at the back, we played 5-4-1. They played on the outside like they would normally in a 4-2-3-1, if you will. And then when we would go 5-2-3 and they'd press a little higher, it was maybe a little bit different than what we asked, but we typically will ask our wingers to press out in that same kind of way. So we weren't asking them to do anything different that they wouldn't be comfortable doing. But when you play with a back 4, it is different because then you're going to have less cover at the back, but sometimes that number can be wasted. I've touched on that before, is that extra number doesn't just solve problems. That number has to work. And so I think it's also the midfield shape and what that looks like, because that helps the wingers. If they jump out, they know they're going to have midfield cover, and then also the fullbacks and their work rate to be able to do that. So, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand a little bit.
Coach, it seemed like at times Columbus was trying to manipulate the tempo and slow things down, especially in the second half. How were you guys able to, whenever they did either turn it over or get in the midfield, you guys were able to just flip the tempo right back on and try to play the game at your pace?
Yeah, it was difficult. Like, they do a great job at that. They can dictate tempo of the game. Like, I'm really happy that they didn't play Darlington because he does a really good job at that. But we talked about what they would try to do, and I told them you're going to have to, like, that's a big reason why I use the word discipline, because that's what I thought it takes, discipline, because they will try to dictate the tempo. They try to pull you out of spaces. They want you to press. They want you to go aggressive because then they play through you, and they're really good at it. I think they're one of the best teams I've seen at it, and so when we knew they would slow things down, it was about being patient, even when you're losing a game. So like at halftime, that was something that we talked about, was that you're losing the game right now, but you don't have to win it in 10 seconds of going to press and going crazy. So you have to stay disciplined in your shape and force them into the errors so that you can change the tempo and we can go. Then once we win it back, now we can go and isolate and diagonal passes, diagonal dribbles. So we touched on that.
Wanted to ask about Jay Fortune and what your thoughts were on him as he's continuing to become more comfortable in the day-to-day and playing minutes, 90 minutes. Tonight, 90 minutes was in a bunch of different defensive categories. Handful of duels won, handful of tackles, those kinds of things. What about Jay and his evolution?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about him. He was great. I think he's been somebody that I've touched on before, that you guys have asked about him. He's nipping at the heels of all these older guys that he's got around him, and I think that's awesome that he's got maybe Bartek and Tristan aren't too much older than him, but they are older than him. So And then you got Dax that's also helping him as well. So you've got all these guys that have got good experience and they're great players, and he's getting to see firsthand how things are done a little bit. And like when he has to step in when his number's called, he's done really well. He's a really interesting player because he can play 6, he can play 8, he can play probably as a 10. So he's got a lot of different things in his locker, and he's got the aggressiveness. And I think you saw a little bit of that tonight. When he's played against Columbus before, he's been really good, and so that was something that played on my mind. And yeah, he did a great job tonight.
And sorry, last one, because I know you mentioned about being disciplined in your tempo. It really seemed like, especially at times when y'all were letting them work the ball side to side, I mean, was it part of the plan to, when they would play that first pass in, where it just seemed like y'all smothered it, put them under pressure, and made them play it right back with more of a loose ball and not being able to pick out their passes?
Yeah, we took the big thing with them is they always build in diamond shapes all around the pitch. So we touched on like being that the top and the bottom of the diamond is really important. If the pass goes sideways, it's okay, but it's if you jump on if you don't have protection in the middle, whether it's the top or the bottom of the diamond, that's when they try to play through you. So if you jump out and then you don't have protection on the sides, that becomes really difficult. So that was the message about that.
Any update on Daniel?
What's that?
Update on Daniel?
I don't know. I'll have to check in. The reason why we subbed him was because of the new rules. He had to be off for 2 minutes if you make a sub. That has ended up changing. But something was wrong, so we had to make a change there at some point. So hopefully nothing serious.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.